Boys and girls, in Bible yesterday, we talked about Saul. Now, if you were a Christian back when Saul was alive, that was right after Jesus went back to heaven, Saul would be pretty scary. Saul would be the kind of person that you knew if he found out about you and he was able to, he was going to grab you or maybe your parents and put them in jail. And when you got put in jail back then, now our jails take care of you and you can't just sit in jail forever. They have to actually have a trial and have a judge or a jury say, yes, you're guilty and you need to go to jail. Well, back then they didn't ever have to do that. They could just take you and throw you in their really awful jails and just leave you there forever. So Saul was really scary for them back then, but I want you to remember, Saul did think that he was doing the things God wanted him to do. Now, we know Saul was really, really wrong about that. But Saul thought he was doing the right thing. And I explain this because every now and then people talk about a big turnaround. And certainly for the Christians, today's story would feel like a big turnaround for Saul. Boys and girls, Saul was on the road to Damascus. He was going to do the job that he wanted to do of getting all those followers of Jesus arrested and put in prison. He had that letter from the priests so that he could do it. And of course, we've talked about this before. When you traveled, it was better than it was before the Romans were around. But there still weren't really regular police. So if you mattered at all, you would have servants along with you that could help protect you. And the Bible says that as they traveled, all of a sudden there was a blinding light on them, and they couldn't see hardly anything. It says they fell to the ground, and then they heard a sound, a voice. Saul heard the voice saying, "Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me?" Saul said, "Who are you, Lord?" Now, that Lord may have meant God. It also may just have meant really important person. Who are you? And the Lord said to him, "I am Jesus whom you are persecuting. Now get up and go into the city, and you will be told what to do." So Saul got up, but when he got up, he discovered he couldn't see anything. So his helpers got up, and the Bible says they took him by the hand and they led him into the city of Damascus. When he got there to the place where he was staying, the Bible says he did not eat or drink for 3 days. So, boys and girls, a lot of people talk about Saul's life now, where he's kind of going along this way, persecuting Christians and throwing them in jail and doing bad things to them. And then today's story happened. And it's like he turned around and he'd go back the other way, believing in God now, instead of doing what he'd been doing before and putting people in jail because they believed in Jesus. But here's the thing. Remember, Saul, Saul really did think that he was doing the right thing to put all the Christians, the people who believed in Jesus, the followers of the way. He thought he was doing the right thing for God to help them. So some people would say it's kind of like he was sort of stumbling along here, Saul was, and he didn't understand about Jesus. And so he was doing the wrong thing, but he was trying to do what God wanted him to. And then today's story happened. And when he kept going, it was like he kept going much more clearly. And he really knew and understood he could see what he was really supposed to be doing. So whichever way you want to think about it, that he was doing really bad stuff and then he kind of turned around and went back and started doing good things, or if you want to think that he was kind of stumbling and fumbling along and then God had that great light for him and he understood better and he went more clearly. Either way, today's story was a really important thing in his life, because today's story is when he changed a lot, changed the way he thought, changed what he understood about what God wanted. And when he thought about it differently and he understood what God wanted better, then he did those things. So, boys and girls, often when we have something really important happen, we commemorate it somehow. Sometimes it's something really happy, like a birthday or a graduation, and we have a big party or some kind of celebration, right? Sometimes it's something sad where maybe a lot of people got sick or died or something bad happened, and we still kind of have something special to remember it. So, boys and girls, today you're going to create something special to remember this story in Saul's life. Now, if you want to come up with a certain kind of celebration for it, you can do that. Or if you just want to draw a picture from today's story, you can do that. Either way, get out your encounter journal. On the next empty page, draw a picture of it. If you've created some kind of celebration of Saul meeting Jesus and coming to understand what Jesus is all about, you can write or draw about that celebration. If instead you just want to write or draw about today's story, you can do that. Either way, put it in your encounter journal, take a picture of it, and send it to me.